I really dived into following you about 5-6 months ago. And a couple things that became really clear initially. I crashed on my mountain bike 5 years ago and broke my neck. For a long time, I wondered, what the fuck? What was this about? And in coming back into your work, I'm really seeing that I am so powerful and my resistance is so massive. And so my desire to speak with you today is because in hearing you talk about or coach people, that when they know there's something they really, really, really want, but there's too much in the way for it, go general. So I've been staying away from thinking about or really focusing on this idea of being able to heal my body.
Yeah.
So
it's not easy though, because it comes up often, doesn't it?
I'm in it
like
all
constantly.
The time. Constantly, yeah. So I've been focusing on other things, and over the last few months, there's been some amazing things that are starting to show up. And so I've kept seeing myself in the hot seat with you. And every week or so it would change what I'd be talking to you about. And I didn't think it would be, well, back in January, I thought it was this. And then every time in between, it hasn't been talking about this subject. And I'm looking for some coaching for how to softly come into opening up to the possibilities of physical healing.
Yeah.
Without creating more resistance.
Been getting ready for you for a while. This conversation that's been evolving is ready for you, and you're ready for it too. So let's just have fun with it for a little bit here. There are two significant things that we've been talking about and that you've been hearing that we want to amplify right now. One is the getting ready, to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, and the willingness to be satisfied with where it is right now. This is the physical reality, but this is my level of satisfaction. And my level of satisfaction doesn't have to be tied to this. That's the key. Your level of satisfaction cannot be tied to the results you're seeking, because the results you're seeking aren't in evidence yet. Now, we're saying that to everyone about everything, but it's easier to hear it, isn't it, in relationship to this. So we'll keep saying it until it really clicks in a way that you can hear it. Finding satisfaction, period. Because think about it. Through life, you've been asking for a lot of things. And recently, you've been asking for physical rejuvenation, physical healing. So that's certainly in your vortex too. There are a whole lot of things in your vortex that are at various stages of gestation or ripeness or readiness for you to receive. That's not the question. The question isn't how far along is his healing in the vortex. The question is, how ready are you to match what's in the vortex? So let's say there's one thing that really matters to you right now, and it's obvious what it is. And there are 4 things that are important to you that are already really feeling good to you. If you focus on any one of those things that easily gives you a feeling of satisfaction, you are doing the best work for the one thing that hasn't come into alignment yet. But that's not how humans' minds usually work. You want to take the problem and give your undivided attention to the problem. So you take the thing that is not satisfying and you hold yourself there in a not satisfied and therefore not connected state of being. It's natural in humandom. It just doesn't work. And so it really is about, not just about finding some distraction. Esther has been really enjoying this game of satisfaction to the point that she's pretty sure if anyone were traveling with her who didn't know her, or maybe even who did, they would have her committed, because sometimes she's talking right out loud about the things that are satisfying to her in the moment. She'll be walking down the ramp on the airplane saying, this is so satisfying. This is so satisfying. It's so satisfying. Sometimes she does the highway patrol thing that the highway patrol does in California, where they zigzag across all the lanes of traffic in order to slow everyone down. She does that with her bag. Because it's so much fun, and it makes everybody behind her wonder what she's doing. She just wants them to slow down and enjoy what's written on the walls in the ramp. There are lots of beautiful pictures and wonderful things. She's just sort of playing a game of satisfaction with life these days for no good reason other than it's sort of kind of fun. Just find any reason that you can find and practice it. And then those things become more and more and more satisfying until the one thing that isn't satisfying becomes irrelevant in the satisfaction game. So what we're asking of you is to not play a reality game. We're asking you to play the satisfaction game, because there's a lot that's satisfying, isn't there? There's a lot that's satisfying. It's a remarkable chair that you have. That has to be so satisfying. You can move that thing in amazing ways. That has to be so satisfying. And it minds you. It does what you ask it to do. It was precisely created with you in mind. It is like a really good friend. It is so satisfying. So you can just feel the satisfaction of the maneuverability of that magnificent machine that is moving around with you. And you can't feel satisfaction about that and dissatisfaction about something else at the same time. It's not possible. So then it turns out, because everything you want's in your vortex, and the only thing that keeps anybody from the full manifestation, the complete manifestation of anything that's in the vortex, is resistance that you've practiced. Well, when you stop practicing resistance, not because you don't have a reason to, you do, but because there are more satisfying things that are occupying what you're focusing upon, then those improvements that you're talking about, those things that are amazing that you're talking about, those ideas that begin occurring to you, the reception between your capable and agile mind, your capable and agile ability to receive the thought of your source. Ooh. Once those receptors are constant, every other receptor in your body kicks in. That's big stuff. But if you get the cart before the horse, if this matters so much that then it clogs up that, then that's clogged up and that improvement doesn't happen. Helpful?
Yeah, you had...
We've been telling people for quite a while, we want you to be happy anyway. And sometimes they can hear it, they don't like it, but they take that to mean satisfied even though I don't have money, satisfied even though I don't have my life partner, satisfied even though. That's what they think they're hearing us say. It's not what we're saying. We're saying satisfied, not even though. Satisfied. Satisfied because, not satisfied in spite of. There's a difference. Satisfied because of these things, not satisfied in spite of these things. Satisfied, satisfied. They don't want to hear it. So we're asking you, be satisfied anyway. Well, that's kind of like in spite of. Satisfied, satisfied for this reason and this reason. And as momentum picks up on those things that you're satisfied about, then all kinds of things come into place. Because there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have.
I made a list of 8 things that I didn't have much resistance around, things I thought would just be fun to create. And the first one was to have really exceptionally interesting, exciting, out-of-the-box wildlife observations or encounters. And I shared that with my wife, and who hasn't been very much diving into your work, but she's here with me, and she's been practicing in her own way, just from things I'm sharing. So she put that intention out herself, and we kind of put it out as a co-creative thing between us. And she started having some really cool things showing up, and she saw 2 hawks mating and some other things like that. So
while they're flying and spiraling toward Earth.
Well, they were on a tree, but still. And so I didn't have much attachment to it, and just like, well, I wonder what's going to show up for me. And then a week later, I was in my room and something went slam against the window. And I was like, was that a bird? Because I get birds hitting. And then it happened about 30 seconds later, slam. And I was like, what is that? And my caregiver was there with me. And she said, I think it might be a squirrel. I was like, and then slam, it happened again. And she's like, it's a prairie dog. And I was able to turn my chair, and he did it one more time. And she said, I think he really wants to come see you.
I think he wants you to see him because he is step 2 in the equation of you asking. Because you can be or do or have anything. Doesn't matter how bizarre it is. It doesn't happen that often.
I don't know anyone who's seen a prairie dog throw themselves at their window.
Yeah.
But that was very satisfying.
There you go. Yes, it is. There you go. Evidence of my resistance-free asking.
And when the path opens up enough, I had an experience that I think is going to answer my question, but I'm looking for clarity. I have some other intentions that I've set, and they've been more general. And it was just a week and a half ago, I was inspired to write an intention for my relationship with my wife. And one of the things I said was, I want us to discover ways of connecting sexually that are mind-blowing. And I stayed away from creating intention with her because, I wanted to stay general. And I was a little nervous that if I got too focused on it, I'd push it away. But all of a sudden one day I had the inspiration. I wrote that down. It felt really good. And then 3 days later, which was last Sunday, we had this amazing experience together.
Yeah.
And so the question... The question is, and is that I'm assuming the same thing's going to happen around my physical body.
It is.
At some point, I'll be inspired to get more specific.
Yes.
But I have to wait until then before I can.
It's the difference between projecting a thought and receiving a thought. In other words, what we would like you to contemplate just for a little while is how your life experience has caused you to ask so much already. And so what you want is well understood by Source. Really, really, really well understood by Source. And it's a desire that is so powerful that it has the attention of Source in a very strong way. And so all the stops are out and all the cooperative components are gathered and it is all in place. And so the only thing for you to do is to be satisfied and allow and satisfied and allow. And when you reach for things that you doubt, then you don't accomplish that. That's why you almost have to stay off the subject. And that was a really good, powerful, big step towards showing you that you could ask for something that formerly you would not have even considered. But when the idea occurred to you and then it manifested in the way that it did, then it made you feel more confidence in other things that you may ask for that are inspired. In other words, once you get the hang of this and you've got it, sometimes even what you're asking for will be inspired. When that thought came to you, that wasn't a request. That was an inspired thought. That was a thought that you were ready to receive. Ooh, you were ready to receive the thought of it before you were ready to receive the experience of it. And had you not been ready to receive the thought of it, you couldn't have experienced the experience of it. And remember how the thought of it felt. And how satisfying it was even in the thought of it, you see. That's really the piece that we're wanting you to take from this conversation. And you've got it. You've got it. So then there are a few things. Don't rush anything, because when you're in a hurry, you're not satisfied. In other words, impatience is not your friend. Impatience means that you've got a vibration going on that's in your way. It's the satisfaction factor that you're looking for. But here's the big thing. Don't fake it. And don't push it.